beer and sit on down. We don't mind that either. All right, guys. Hey, our next guest coming up is Rob Mudd. He is the chief futurist at Mudd Advertising, where he leads innovative digital marketing strategies with deep understanding of emerging trends. Rob's craft forward-thinking solutions that keeps brands ahead of the curve. His game-changing approach blends creativity, technology to shape the future of advertising. The one, the only, the oh so famous, he paid me to say that, Rob Mudd.
I'm not Rob Mudd, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so that wasn't very funny. Okay, I want to go back to this because the speaker prior to me, I agree, I'm a marketing guy, but I agree with damn near everything he said. This is a chart I keep, and what it shows is new car sales over the past 20 years. So $63 billion was spent last year on marketing. I believe it was a shift. It was a shift from traditional media to digital media for one reason. You go from a 15% commission to a 25% commission. They make 10 points. So you went from paying out about 9.4 billion in commissions to 15.7. That's what I believe happened. Why? Because we're saying we got 10,000 visitors at a unique visitors at our website. Well, we don't know who the hell they are. Well, some we know now, up to 40%. But I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was a great point, right? We are not selling more cars. There's problems that we had in here, but the most we ever did was 17 million. Then you know anywhere on uses anywhere from 39 to 43 million. So it's not like we're selling a hell of a lot more cars. We've just moved the money. So anyway, I diverge a little bit. Here we go. We're going to talk about customer data platform. So how many people have heard of this term? Everybody, right? It's kind of an enigma to a certain degree today. And I hope to bring some guide posts around it and to tell you how we think from doing this for a long time, how CDPs should work, and we'll get at it. So Mudd Advertising, we've been around for 45 years. My dad started the business 45 years ago, and we've been working with car dealers ever since, and that's all we do, is car business. And we understand it starts on the 1st and ends on the 31st. And in between those lines is pressure, and pressure to get more ups, more unique opportunities to sell cars, have a better close ratio, and make more gross. That's what it's about. Well, how can a CDP help you do that? So we're going to talk about the shift in automotive marketing. It's a paradigm shift because this can be huge if done right, the CDP. What is the CDP? Identity resolution and why that's important. Strategies with CDP and digital advertising. Case study and the final takeaways. So let's go. What do you believe is the purpose of a CDP? Y'all have them, but no one knows what they do? Okay. Correct. Yep. Yep. Correct. Yep. If it could, yeah. It can do all those things, right? But what I think it starts with is it helps you create a plan. And you create that plan of where we want to sell, what to sell, when to budget, and who to target. The foundation is purely data-driven, no humans in the loop. And so what I believe that the CDP can do for y'all is create efficiencies with your sales staff. Having a conversation with a guy, Larry knows this guy at NADA. He says, Larry, I don't know, I could never get any of our sales guys to sell more 12 cars a month. How do I increase car sales? Well, the CDP takes away the things salespeople need to do to sell cars, right? So you're being more efficient with what it takes to sell a car by a program or the computer that never doesn't show up late, doesn't always comes to work, right? You're laughing. Is that? Oh, his phone. Okay, I gotcha. Gotcha. So let's keep going. So the shift in automotive marketing from leads to unified, addressable, measurable, customer intelligent audiences, right? So what's an audience today? It's what it's always been. It's been an Excel spreadsheet. It's a list. And being in the direct mail business, we know how to work with lists. We've been doing it for a long time. But that is what an audience is a list. And then where are you going to get your list? Because the CDP needs data, right? It needs to be filled with data to follow up on. So where are you going to get it, right? Fragmented dealer data sources, your CRM, your DMS, web data, third-party lead providers, disparate and siloed data sets. All these are challenges, right? Present going forward, we're going to take first-party data, unify showroom traffic, your service customers, and CRM data to make sense and bring that all into one system, so to speak. Because you got a CRM, you got a DMS, you're now going to have a CDP. And the CDP is going to take all that data and unify it, right? And eventually, once you get that CDP filled up, those bots, and when we get to that, what that means, will then do the tasks that salespeople are good at and they don't like to do all the time, 24/7. And they understand segmentation, and they understand when a vehicle comes on the lot that person might be interested in, and they send them a message. It's utilizing what technology really is supposed to be, is help communicate and being more efficient with your spend. Does everybody buy into that? A CD transforms disconnected data into dealership-ready marketing fuel. And disconnected data is the biggest problem. And so what I mean by that? So you got your CRM data, DMS data, third-party data. Well, we've all heard of structured data, right? Structured data means that you can read the data and you're feeding it into a system that can take action on it. Because data is no good unless it's actionable. It means nothing, right? So what can that CDP do? It can eliminate duplicate leads, suppress wasted ad spend, personalize offers automatically, retain more customers without massive platform changes. And the personalization is key today. Why? Because you can do it. And if you can personalize the message, everyone likes to see their name in lights, right? Everybody likes, what's this Cheers, where everyone knows your name? Everybody likes that stuff. I can't remember names, I can't, but the CDP can. Personal offers are really important going forward. And then retain more customers without platform changes. This is about connecting. It's not about replacing, it's connecting. And then the architecture has to be straight on what you're going to connect. So we got CRM, DMS, telephony, your phone system, first-party data, third-party platforms, websites, ID resolution, inventory. All of those things, all of these elements here contain data, right? I love what he said earlier about inventory drives opportunity. Completely agree with that too. If you don't have cars, you can't sell them, right? But what's the purpose of the CDP? These are all tasks that need to be done by a salesperson. Resell, lease termination, purchase. So what I'm explaining now are AI agents, bot agents. And I don't know if anyone know? Larry knows what an agent is. You want to give an explanation real quick, Larry? No, okay. I won't give it to you. So the AI agent is application of the CDP that is trained to do these tasks. But it's not just one, well, it's multiple, but each agent's trained to do one task. So resell, lease termination, purchase funnel, paid trade, existing service non-buyer, high-value web visitors, hand raisers not sold, we want to buy your car, conquest, nurture, follow-up, CSI, lead follow-up, units available, bad credit, price, PMT too high, tow trade offer, bought elsewhere, post-sale, no sale, warranty, missed stops, wheel and tire missed stops, prepaid maintenance, auto insurance opportunities, payoff acceleration, events, birthday and life events, CSIs, follow-up, service reminders, parts and accessories, special order parts delivered, decline services, tire notifications, recall notifications, service call handling. I'm tired saying these words, right? Well, this is what your salespeople have to do. They got to follow up. And so if you can have a tool that will do this for them more efficiently, on time, every time. You're mitigating the work that the sales guy has to do in order to sell, and you're letting them do what they want to do, and that's sell. Make sense? Do any of you all have a CDP in place right now? No one. How's it working? Or how? Okay. Okay. So there is no standard with CDPs today. So everyone can be different. They just call it a CDP, right? Well, this is what I believe, we believe that a CDP needs to do to be efficient and work for car dealers today. Identity resolution, these are features, capabilities of a CDP, recognize shoppers across showroom, service lane. So we talked about that earlier. The marketing guy, which I'm a marketing guy too, so I believe in what he said. I believe in what he had to say. First-party data unification, combines CRM, DMS, web, BIN, campaign data. Activation, automation, which is, if you can't activate it, you can't automate it. That makes sense? Because everyone wants to do automation, but it's hard. It's hard because you're plugging in siloed data sets in the order in which you think they come into play, from the top all the way down to the bottom. And you got to get it right. So it's a challenge. It's hard to do. And then you want it in real time. And then you want to make sure it knows segmentations and insights, build audiences by life cycle, equity, and market status. How do you do that? Well, hopefully our first-party resolution ID is telling us what their people are looking at, so we can start to segmentize our visitors to then message to them on things that they are interested in a timely manner. So these are all things we'd want to have done if we could get it done. How dealers use it. Trigger personalized offers, VDP segmentation, make and model, just said that. Create VIN-specific audiences, segmentation, make and model. Suppress current from conquest lists or from our DMS list, right? So DMS will have a turnover about 20% of the data in it every year. So if you're not cleaning that stuff up, you're going to waste money on going after and marketing to the people in your DMS, which can be one of your best sources for a list, which is an audience, right? To collect separate data within a dealership and connect them with master customer record, unify showroom traffic, service drives, customers, website activity. The unification's the big thing to take away. That's what you want to do. You want to be able to unify all your data to a unifier, right? That can go across all channels, and when they show up, you know who they are. Import foundational data, which is DMS, but you got to clean it. CRM data. How many people use their CRM data to 100% of its ability? No one, right? Why? Because you rely on the sales people to enter the data, and they never enter it the same way. So what could be in the CRM and then the DMS when they title the car, totally different. And the only way the CDP can really benefit you is if you know that that CRM lead or record became a car deal. And then we talk about understanding the history of the shopping behavior. I want to understand the history of their purchase behavior with your stores. So it's really important stuff. Inbound, outbound phone calls. You can, as I mentioned earlier, plug that into your CDP. Because a lot of phone leads aren't, let's say it this way, we could probably be better with how we handle our phone leads, right? But only if you capture that data. Choosing the right partner for a CDP. Evaluate your vendors. Don't use generic, use automotive specific folks that understand the car business. Understand all those things I just went through earlier that those AI agents will be responsible to follow up on. But more importantly is, what's the purpose again? Our purpose is we want to know that we have a budget. We want to know who we're targeting. We want to know how many opportunities to us. We want to know our close ratio. We want to know our gross, and then we ROI. And that really is what a dealer, who's dealers in here? I mean, if you knew those stats, you'd be pretty happy. What did I spend? How many opportunities I get? What was my closes? What was my gross? What was my ROI? And how can I make that better? I believe the only way you can do it is to mitigate the things that you have to do in order to get sales. And that's follow-up, right? I can get redundant here, but you can't just tell anybody something one time and think they'll do it. You got to tell them over and over and over and over again. And this really is, to me, what that CDP can do for you. Scale and optimize. Expand use case using predictive insights. So everyone talks about scale, but scale's hard to do. Because if you're not automated, you can't do it. And if you're not plugged in the process that you need to follow, you can't do it. So automation with your CDP is where you want to get to, because the automation is what never stops. You know, they say till they buy or die. This will do it because the CDP goes to work every day, 24/7. So how do I know if my data platform is working at its best? Good, collects and unifies data. Better, segments and activates campaigns. The best, drives activation, automation, personalization. Data's no good unless you can activate it, right? And so what you're creating are audiences. And so what are you going to do with that audience? You can mail it, you can email it, you can ingest it into your DSP and target digital media. And I've been doing this a long time, and we sell a lot of stuff. But I wouldn't do anything anymore without a list. And that's called an audience. Nothing, Zippo. Because I can target up to 99% of those people with digital marketing. So do I believe in digital marketing? Yes. Do I think it's wasteful? Yes. How do you make it not wasteful? You have an audience, and you understand how these DSPs work. I wouldn't do anything, well, I shouldn't say that. I would make sure that an audience that you create is what you use to target and that your monthly campaigns are focused around. Now, can you do other stuff? Yeah, because you got to fill that data. You got to get that data. How are you going to get that data? The anonymization is great. You know, before the internet, someone would come onto your lot and it was an up and you got their name and all that good stuff. Now, for the past 15 years, we've been sending people to websites and no one knows who they are. There's only two companies this works for, Google, Facebook, and a couple others. Those are the people that made all the money, all of it. They got a new program. I think that it's like Brock Dancer. He's with us back here. He was telling me about a Google meeting they were in. That Google is trying to get into the name business, right? The cashectomy days are over. They need to be over for all. Not for you, but for the guys that are doing the cashectomy, which I believe are the Googles of this country or of our industry, because they don't give you any names. They give you a click, an impression. Have you ever sold a car to an impression? Nope. Does anyone? No. So, am I saying that I blew him out? Am I saying you don't use digital marketing? No, I'm not saying it. What I'm saying is use it smarter, right? Create audiences, ingest those audiences, target those audiences, and then what you can do at the end of the month, you can do a match back to that audience. Another reason I wouldn't do anything without a list, because you can match it back to see what the ROI was, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So this is a quick map of data tech, identity resolution, and how it's kind of transformed from here to there. But the real reality is, we started here, we came back to here, now we're coming all the way back to there, to the beginning again, to here. Does that make sense? Because this, I believe, didn't do anything. According to the numbers, I didn't make those numbers up. Those are the numbers of how many new cars are sold and what month they sell them in. And so what did these guys do? Who remembers 1999 in Orlando? I do, because that was the dot-coms were coming to take over the car business. And they were going to change the most inefficient selling process that hadn't been optimized by the digital folks. Well, that didn't happen right away. It took like 25 years, but they got there because they switched us. They switched us from reality to fiction. Why? Because they put no name, no number. I don't know where you live. That's not a lead. A lead is a first name, last name, phone number, and home address. So we spent $63 billion to get impressions and clicks. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit here. I'm not saying that you don't need people to look at your inventory, because the gentleman earlier, you do, right? But it isn't, if you get 10,000 people every month to your website, that's 120,000 people. How many cars do you sell a month? The fraction of it's infinitesimally silly when you start to think about it. But it's the one number that everybody gauges themselves on. Their effectiveness. How many unique visitors did I have on my website? 10,000 people. How many cars did you sell? 150? 10,000 unique visitors, I sold 150 cars. And I do that every single month, because every month I get 10,000 new visitors. I still sell 150 cars. Why is that? Well, some would say that 30% off the top, I would say it's a little higher, aren't real. You put money into a black box. You don't know their algorithm. You don't know anything. You take their word carte blanche that they're telling you the truth. That's why they're being sued. They're going to get broke up as a monopoly. So anyway, this is the history of tech and data in the car industry. We've gone this way. Now we're going to come all the way back and start talking about people again. People with a phone number, an address, and an email address. Identity resolution. Why is it more important than ever? Business, because of what I just talked about, right? If I can get 40% of that 10,000 number, that's 4,000 unique individuals that we de-anonymized. And we got a name, phone number, well, not necessarily phone number, but you've got their name, address, and email address. Well, who's going to follow up on the 4,000, 3,000, if you got three, so the 3,700 people left over. Good luck. But where it can go is in your CDP, and they'll follow up every day. So I envision this. Any store, that wherever you're located, I can draw a map about 30 miles. And then I can go to data sets, a database. We use Equifax. And I can get every household in that 30-mile radius. I got them all. That's my target. And how do I reach them? Well, I can reach them through digital media, right? Because if I feed it into my DSP, those are the only people that are going to see the message. And if they come in and buy a car, now I know they can go off the bought list, and now they're my customer, right? Because data, the big data brokers, they don't sell you data, they loan you data. It's a big difference. Big difference, because you do a mailer, and you have a great one, you get 300 inquiries, you sell 35 cars. But you bought 5,000 names. You don't get the names. So what are you going to do? You're going to probably do another one, because this is what we do. But we believe now, going forward in the future, with our relationships that we build with these data folks, is that we can drop those into a CDP, and we can start to message to them till they do become our customer, then we own them. Make sense? But there is no data broker that's going to sell you 5,000 mailers or 10,000 mailers and then give you the list. They're not going to do it. But that's what your CDP needs, is data, right? It doesn't work without data. But back to the household. So, this gets back to the beginning. What's your purpose? Market share. How many people know their potential plus against the market share? Well, that's the only way you're going to know if you're doing any good, is what your market share is currently, and then what's it going to take to tick up to get one more point? Well, these processes, right? You're going to have a budget, you're going to have opportunities, you're going to have close ratios, and then you're going to have ROI. And the most important thing is be efficient, so you can drive that cost of that opportunity low. So average, spend for a new car, they say is $750 per unit. That sounds sustainable. I don't even know if it's real, but that's what NADA says. That's an unsustainable number when you look at that first chart that I showed you, their car sales aren't going up. There's only so many people that can buy a car, but the cost to get that customer is going up. Why? Because of all the things you have to add. I need an internet sales team. I need a BDC team because my sales guys aren't capable of doing the things that they used to be capable of, right? So the goal of the identity resolution is the complete picture of the consumer identity and their household with a high degree of confidence. Their household. People live in houses and people buy cars to put in the garage. And so you want to focus on names and not numbers of impressions or clicks. You still want people to come to your website. I'm not saying don't do that. Of course you got to do that. But don't buy into the panacea that they've sold you that all those people are buyers. They're not. They're not. There's no way, or they sell more than 150 cars a month. What is identity resolution? A single unified view of a consumer, including physical and digital data. Identity resolution is the fuel to activate your tech stack and the key to successful execution. It's not deterministic data, only one size fits all, black box or static. It really needs to live because dead data means nothing. You have to refresh your data, right? We have to take and append the current data against new updated data. And I don't think that's the job of the dealer. It's his responsibility to do it, but you got to pick the right partner to be able to do it for you. That's what I believe. What matters most? Confidence in the consumer identity data that supports efforts around understanding the customer. So one, robust data from multiple sources, current, past, relevant information, completeness for a strong identity graphic. What does that mean? If I can figure out the tendencies of the buyer, I can go look for other buyers that look like that within that 30-mile radius, right? And how do you do that? You work with data companies that understand that and then can go activate that data, but have access to it. So we have a data file of 350 million people. Well, that really is the biggest CDP in the country, which gets refreshed every 90 days. That's what you have to have. You have to have data, and it has to be fresh to be actionable. And then you have to have a plan of how you're going to execute it. Getting identities wrong, 1.7 billion auto loan identity fraud in 2021. That's just buying it. The fraud, really, the big fraud is in the advertising that you spent to Google. That's the big fraud. 38 billion to digital dealer marketing. Okay, services spend. 21, what's that? Over 50% of the data cannot be connected. Yeah, because it's not real. So the feds are getting involved, and now they're really cracking down on violators of how you handle data inside your dealership, right? It's not anymore you can send a Excel spreadsheet or CVS file. You have to have it a secured file. And so the audience creation of what you need to do also needs to be protected. I don't know if you know anybody that's gotten these fines, but they exist and they're big ones. So CDP needs data, but then you have to acquire it and then you have to push it out safely. Otherwise, you guys are going to come after you. 84% increase in identity fraud for dealerships since the pandemic, with 6% losing 3 or more vehicles. Why is that? Because people have come to take a test drive, take you down the Katy freeway, pull up their guns, they get out. That's what happens. Not every time. This gentleman, you're from Houston. Have you ever heard of this happening? Fraud like that? Guys going on a test drive, getting the car stolen. ID was wrong, and so they didn't have no idea who it was. So identity fraud's a challenging thing. How can you avoid something like that? Is to know who they are before they show up. Oops. Getting identities right, what's it mean? In data, 95% of my text messages are responded within 3 minutes. 61% of new and used vehicle shoppers contact dealership by calling after a search. Gentleman told us about that earlier. I believe him. 64% of people who used YouTube while buying a car were influenced by it. buy into that a little bit, maybe not completely, but a little bit. 84% of automotive shoppers are on Facebook, 24 use it as a resource for making their vehicle purchases. That I believe, but with that list, that audience, I can ingest that into Meta's platform and target specifically those people. And that's what you want to do. That's not waste, that's using it the smart way. But they're not telling you necessarily that, well, I don't know everybody's marketing teams, but that's what I would do. I wouldn't do, again, anything without a list. And a list is called an audience. The audience is generated somehow, either as first-party data, de-anonymized data, or you're renting the data from someone else. But it's got to have a first name, last name, address, and email address. Here's that 550 average cost per auto lead. That's a little high, but that's still high. $550 now, that's a new car for a new car, but it's still way high. 90% of consumers find personalization appealing. Okay, that makes sense. 37% of new vehicle buyers purchase a brand they had never owned before. I believe that's because people aren't loyal to brands, they're loyal to payments, right? People are loyal to payments. 68% of consumers are more likely to defect to a different brand. Why? Because they went because of lower payment. Online marketing has an average ROI, return on investment, of $2,500 per vehicle. I believe that a guy has a gross of that. I'm not sure if I'd give all that credit to the digital marketing. Results for one dealer group, omnichannel sales, which I'm going to get into next, accounts for 31% of their unit sales. So everyone's familiar with omnichannel marketing, utilizing A-list and hitting against different tactics so you bring frequency to the individual, to the record. I'm hitting them multiple times, not by the same platform, by different platforms. So you've got continuity. That's, again, what the gentleman said earlier. You got to have continuity with their pictures. Who's the picture guy? He's right there, right? You got to have continuity. With continuity, then it makes sense to the consumer. How many of y'all had kids? Okay. How many of you have ever told your kid one time to clean their room, they did it? You are the man. Well, good for that's one person out of 30 in here, right? Frequency, 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 frequency. 44% of consumers visit a website after receiving a direct mail. Pairing that with digital can increase that a lot because I'm using the same list. So we'll go to this slide here. Here it is, omnichannel. All these executions are based off the list, the audience. I can do direct mail, I can do email, I can utilize VINs, I can do a PMAX campaign by ingesting CTV. CTV is wall advertising. If you're working with the right DSP, you can ingest that list, that audience, and you can personalize the message that they're going to see on their TV at home on the wall. We did this 2 weeks ago in the NCAA tournament where we took a list, we were able to do it. And the guy, whoever's sitting there watching television, if they're watching, it was in Connecticut, so they had some teams in the tournament. Whoever's sitting there, they're going to say, hey, Bob, hey, Joe. And that's going to be that person. And then we were able to put in there the vehicle that they're currently driving for personalization. Now, it'll probably freak people out, but the wall on the wall is just a big computer and how you get your content. And you're either getting it through cable or you're doing it for apps. It's the app business that can do this, not cable, right? So in this market, you probably got a 20, maybe a 30% cable market, and you probably have an app market that's about 40%, but you have to buy 12 separate apps to get them all, where you could buy cable for one, but you got to have both, I believe, if you're going to do it right. Just because, people talk about the app world and programmatic advertising on the wall stuff. That's great, but it only represents a certain percentage. What about the other people that still use it? So you got to use it both. And then MUD ID, so this is your de-anonymization. All of this stuff is executed off one list. And gee, if we drive people to our website, we can de-anonymize them and they match our list. And then we can go into our DMS matchback and we see they bought a car. That's what I'd want to know. Because you want to become more effective with your marketing. And at the end of the day, you want to sell cars. And if you can match that back and figure out which one of these works best for your customers, you're going to have a better chance of selling cars, making more money. So media spend efficiency, you can suppress recent buyers because there's no reason to send them a message after they just bought a car. But I still get, we all do, of a car we haven't driven in 10 years, still getting messages on those cars, right? So you've got to suppress recent buyers, and you just target the ones that haven't, based on behavior and ownership. And behavior then gets into contextual messaging, right? Based on their behavior, you can send them messaging that will resonate with them or their ownership. Like the example with the guys in Connecticut. We knew that they had this vehicle, we were able to personalize it, and we were able to show an offer on a new one. Then strategic reallocation. What's that mean? That means optimizing what you just did and redoing it again, and hopefully doing it better, because we found out what didn't work, and then we found out what did. Let's heavy up on what does and get rid of what doesn't. I know this sounds so simple, logical. It is, but it ain't simple, but it is logical. But with the right partnerships in your CDP, I believe that you will achieve this. And you're going to have to, because the rest of the market is. You're going to have to eventually. Because you're not, you got to be able to compete. And you have to create efficiencies with your sales force so they can sell more cars. And the only way to do that is to do the things, take care of the things they don't like to do. And that's follow-up. So platform first to identity first. What's that mean? We used to just go and buy a platform, Facebook, Google, Bing, right? Now we're going to buy the person because we know who they are. And then what we're going to take, so you got identity, context, preference, then you got a persona. And then I got my media channels, paid, owned, or earned. That's where you're going to start because you can. These guys might be in the mix, but that's not where you start. You start down here. Why? Because I got a list, an audience that you've created, or your marketing team has created. So this is a plug for Mud because we've been working 1.5 years with Equifax to get the pipes so we could land their consumer data. So we got 350 million consumer file, 220 million VINs. But the really cool thing about it is what they do. So 330 million consumers, 220 million VINs. Each record has been reached with a mobile ID, up to 5 hashed emails and 2 IP addresses. That's what Google and Meta use to target prospects. Those are the tools that they use to get the message into their email or their mobile device. And that gets refreshed every 90 days. That's really important, very important, because that's how the guys are paying all the money use it, but they don't give you the name. This can give you the name because we've got the names, the 330 million, but then they've hashed this or made it so it's mobile friendly and target friendly. Why does it matter? Reach and retargeting, connect offline events to digital and ad expos, dealership visits or purchases, enable advanced audience modeling, which is really important for reach, conquesting, right? Conquesting, if you know who's buying, I can go find more people like that. How do we do it? Because I got everybody in the United States up in a database. And I know where they live, and I know their names. And I know how old they are, and I know a bunch of other stuff too. So I can be efficient. We're not the only ones that do this. So anyone that you're working with, these are the questions you want to ask them, and they should be doing it for you. Final takeaways, CDPs, unified disconnected data. Personalization starts with identity. Winning dealers collect and activate data. And that's about as fast as I can go. That's it. Any questions? No questions. Larry, you have to have a question. Zip 11. Well, Zip 4 will get you down to the neighborhood. The Zip 11 will get you right into the household. You can get that credit. Yeah, they can get that. Yes, you can get that credit information. And what Equifax is really good is in financial modeling. You know, I might know what you're driving, but I want to know what you can buy, right? into a car deal is a customer, a car, and then the ability to get finance. That's car deal. So I rather know how much disposable income a guy has left that he could potentially purchase a vehicle based on a payment. And then you can start to look and mine your inventory on your website to see which cars people are hitting. How many do you use payments? You use payments or whole prices on, I guess our only dealer just left. But payments move used cars, whole prices sell new cars. Integration, taking your CDP and being able to integrate all these siloed technologies, which is difficult to do because you want to bring the data in and structure it so that it's usable. So you got to plug stuff in. It's not easy to do. It's hard to do. But that's where people are getting there. Full throttle, full path, Orbi, who else? Larry, who else? Larry's not going to tell anybody. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of them. Yeah. But you got to connect the data. You got to bring it in and think of that CDP as your brains. And I'm going to plug in everything I can so the brain can start to do its magic, right? But yeah, you got to connect all the data sources. How to activate it?
I'm guessing you're the guy that's.
Oh, we could help you, but yeah, we could for sure. But there are others that do this too. But you got to get back to training that AI agent, right, on all those actions, right? And I believe that there was probably 64 on there, individual tasks that need to be taken in order to get the deal of whatever column or category that was in. Any more questions? No, I mean, no, because I don't want to tell people they're stupid, right? I think it works. I think, but not to the extent that you switched $63 billion and didn't sell any more cars. The only guys that got a raise were the agencies, guys like me. I'm not, but I want to be effective, right? So I look at we measure ROI on everything. And so if a digital campaign that I make 25 points on is better than a deal that I make 10 points, and the dealer gets his money first, I'm good, right? But I don't think that's how it happens. I think that people want their money first off the dealer's money because they can't track it back. I can give you impressions and clicks, but I can't give you a name. Anyone else? Anyone else? Going once, going twice, sold. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Rob, so much. Hey, guys, we're going to keep these game changers coming. And as you can see, I mean, you can see the theme here, guys. Everything that you have seen today and has been presented is a game changer. You know, it's funny, whenever I do these events, I come out a week before and I visit these dealerships, individually, a lot of them individually. When I do that, I have to search for these dealerships. And it immediately shows what ads are being presented against their name, right? Whoever's bidding on it. I am utterly just amazed with the sheer ad waste of people targeting people without being in market, people targeting on keywords that have nothing to do with their business. Anyways, this is what Rob had just presented for us truly is the future of marketing. And it's not a matter of if your dealership is going to use a CDP, it's really a matter of when it's going to happen. And I don't think there's any reason not just to go ahead and start it now. Everything that you guys have heard up to this point today has has got us to the holy grail of everything. All right. And that is the lead. By the way, I think it's a funny word. I guess I'm going to age myself for a minute here because I don't know at what point in time in our industry we actually call them leads. When I started in this industry, they were called inquiries. Form fills were actually the report that was on my dealer.com website in 1999. That was the report that was given to me. How many form fills were completed, all right? But hey, once these people engage with us, we need to engage back with them. And our next presenter is going to be going exactly that. They are the masters of engagement. So I'm excited to have them. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Everybody grab something to munch on or a beer because we can't take any of it with us. So after this next presenter, we're going to have Misty from Podium. We will be heading over to the game. If you guys have a bag with you, they won't let you take it to the ballpark, but you can check it up front. They'll give you a little ticket. So if you guys need to do that before this next speaker, go ahead. We'll take a quick break, and we'll get started here in about 5 minutes.